Are 49 days from the election, and some Democrats worry that Joe Biden is playing it too safe and needs to find ways to get his message out to voters. You know who just agreed to let podcaster and UFC commentator Joe Rogan moderate a presidential debate. I mean, is this a good move for anybody? And is this a good move for Biden? What do you think, Meg?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Joe Rogan listener and a Joe Rogan fan, even though I'm sure it's uncomfortable because he really is no fan of The View and no fan of ours. But I was listening to his podcast when he suggested that he moderate a debate with President Trump and Vice President Biden. And anyone who doesn't follow him, Joe Rogan is a juggernaut. He has 200 million uniques on his podcast a month. He just signed a historic deal with Spotify. He has an absolutely huge audience. He's controversial to some people. To other people, he's basically like the everyman who's speaking truth to power, depending on your perspective. And I think what this says is two things. Number one, I was personally very disappointed with the debate moderator choices, and I'm very disappointed in the way our media has been questioning both of these candidates. I think we deserve better. These are uncomfortable and very dangerous times, and I think that we should be asking both of these candidates uncomfortable questions. And the idea that we're going to have sort of very old school journalists, no disrespect to the people who were chosen, who only get 1 hour and we can't stream, is really, I think, not going to be sufficient, especially in the era of COVID, when we already have had so much of a back bump of not being able to get the kind of answers from both of these candidates that we need. So I think that's why this Joe Rogan conversation has gained so much traction and attention online. And I would love to see it happen, but I think there's probably no way it's going to ultimately end up happening. But I do think if President Trump ends up doing an interview with Joe Rogan, it could be very fascinating and a game changer.
So, Sonny, what's your opinion on this? Are you aware of Joe Rogan? Are you a fan, not a fan? You think he's the person that should be doing it?
No, I don't. I think it would be inappropriate for Joe Rogan to host a presidential debate. I mean, I think given his use of the N-word, I think given his comparing a black neighborhood to Planet of the Apes, given the fact that he has called a transgender woman a man, I think all of that disqualifies him to be the host of a presidential debate. I think President Trump has debased the office of the presidency. I think as a country, we have lost a sense of decorum. And I don't think a host like that should be someone who is given the honor, and I think it is an honor, to host a presidential debate. That's just my take.
Could I ask Sonny a question,
And
though?
Sarah,
it just came out that Susan Page had hosted an off-the-record dinner for Trump people in the Trump White House. And I don't necessarily think, like, I would like, and I think you and I are in agreement on this, I do think there needs to be a new watershed of people who are allowed to moderate these debates. I think it feels very dated and very old. Do you disagree?
I do disagree. I think that I am a traditionalist, as you know. I think that journalists should be hosting these debates. I think that we had someone like Lindsay Davis of ABC who did a spectacular job hosting the debates. I saw Anderson Cooper. I thought he did an excellent job. And so, you know, there are journalists that are quite capable. I remember Gwen Ifill did a wonderful job. But when you talk about a Joe Rogan, who has notably made misogynistic, racist, homophobic comments, that is someone who I have no interest in being given that kind of...
Before you guys get into a two-way discussion, let me ask the other women on the panel. Let me find out where Sarah and Joy are coming from. What do you think, Sarah? Is this an appropriate person?
I think it'd be fun to shake it up, because one thing is I love Lindsay Davis. I think there have been journalists that have done a great job, but I think it is time with all that's going on. And Sonny, to your point about who President Trump is, maybe give him a little bit of his own medicine and see how he holds up to that. Because you know, I think it could just shake it up. It also could reach younger people. You look at the podcast universe and you look at the people that follow a Joe Rogan and getting more people out. We still have a country that less than 50% of our population shows up at the ballot box. And we need more participation. We need new ears and new eyes consuming this stuff because it's that important.
I agree, Sarah.
What about you, Joy?
I don't know who he is. I can only follow Sonny's advice and not go for it. I would like to see Jake Tapper do it. I think he's been an incredible journalist. He confronts them with their lies. I like that. Or The View. Maybe we could do it. That'd be something.
I don't think we. I think we could do it, but we'd hear something we didn't like, and people's heads would explode. I think everybody should go on the Breakfast Club and start with that if you want to shake it up, and visit lots of different.
And by the way, Whoopi, Charlemagne has asked some of the best questions, but Charlemagne asked the best political questions of this entire cycle. But what does that say about our media? And he's a very smart, I don't think he's a journalist, but he's a host. He's an incredibly astute host, but he's asked the best questions. What does it say about our political media?
Well, it says a lot. It says several things. It says that people who are not political junkies also have really smart things to ask, and it would not be a bad thing to have a political debate in front of folks, whether it's Charlemagne, whoever it is, including Joe or Charlemagne, to put those guys together or those gals together and do a whole piece with them, asking questions, and then go to the more traditional. I don't see why we can't do both.
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
think it'd be interesting.